projects on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you mind if I record this call just to keep a backlog of some of the notes?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'd love to just pick your brain about it. I read through the white paper, checked out the website. I didn't see anything on the GitHub activity, but was able to download the app and just get a sense for it already. I'll just dive into some of the questions I've been thinking about, if that's okay.
Sure.
So one of the things is that I kind of think of this as like the craze that took off with the Pokemon. People running around catching these things like in Central Park at 10 p.m. at night. People are running around trying to catch Pokemon, and I see this being kind of an extension of that, and really applying in a commercial sense of the video I saw on YouTube gave the example of the Coca-Cola bottle. And how that could have unique non-fungibility and have its own unique ID. One of the things that I didn't really understand it from just reading the paper is how this is going to interact with different blockchains, because I understand the token is currently an ERC20 token, and I believe Ethereum has something called a ERC 721 for the non-fungibility factor, but I wasn't really sure how that could play across different blockchains like with Bitcoin or EOS. Or across those different chains, really?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. It's really a 4-part question to give you a solid answer. So step 1, you summarize the use case of, Pokemon Go for unique digital objects versus today, Pokemon Go, there's this little image out there and people run around and capture it. Well, that just showcases one use case of the platform, and it really highlights what the platform is. It's a platform to build unique digital objects. And once you have that unique digital object, once you've created that unique digital object, we've also built all of the tools to interact with that object in really innovative, interesting ways. One of those ways is augmented reality with these objects on a map. You can also do it on a 2D map. You can also just click a link on a website or from a tweet or Facebook or an email. You can send the object to a friend. You can scan something with your phone to get the object. So the Pokemon Go example is just one way to acquire these objects, but the real invention is the fact that we've created a platform that enables developers around the world to build these unique digital objects, and then that are written to blockchains, and then we've given them the tools to really enhance the experience of it, such as AR and VR and all the different ways to collect and interact with them. And then the tools to program these objects to do really innovative, interesting things. You can, such as policy, like think of a viral VATM where you've got this viral object where you send it to a friend, and if they send it to a friend, you get a point, and if your friends, and if it goes down the line, you can reward different people in your downline for different actions. So that's kind of the environment and overall platform that we've created. And then your next question was along the lines of how is this token? You said we had an ERC20 token, then how does that go to different blockchains?
Yes.
So to refine that a little bit, our network token, V, is different than a VATM. So V is our ERC20 network token. That's the currency that powers and fuels the ecosystem. So a publisher of a VATM, these developers that create and publish and distribute VATMs, they have to have V and use it to access the tools to publish the VATMs and to pay for the long-running processes. Then users have the ability to earn V for various actions. They can earn V for sending VATMs or redeeming VATMs or collecting them, etc. And then we also have our version of mining, which is called cyclers, and it's really a distributed compute notion where those cyclers will earn V for performing VATM transactions. So that's how our network token works, and that's the ERC20 token. Now, there's the VATM. Now, the VATM is different than just a simple ERC20 token because a VATM is a token with app-like qualities. So all the stuff I just described, where you can program it, add the images and everything else, those app-like qualities are attached to a token. And now this VATM can be a token that's an Ethereum token, a Bitcoin token, or an EOS token, right? It can be written to these different blockchains. So your next question was, Ethereum has the different protocols, one ERC20, and then I believe you call it 721, where there's non-fungible assets. So we are a layer above that. And so if you as a developer wants to have your VATM written to the Ethereum blockchain, then it will plug into that blockchain in whatever manner is appropriate, such as it will use either ERC20 or the other protocols on top of that blockchain to ensure it behaves in the manner it's supposed to. But what BlockV does is two things. It enables you as the developer to easily write that token to that blockchain, or it can be the Bitcoin blockchain or soon EOS, because each one of those blockchains have different use cases and developers have a desire to be on each one of those blockchains for different reasons. But what BlockV does is ensures that all the metadata, all the app-like qualities, the experiential layer and the rules and the images, etc., we ensure that that metadata is always attached to that token, no matter which blockchain it's on.
Okay, so what type of tech stack is this doing it with? Because it sounds like with V or with vAtoms, I might be writing in something different, and what vAtoms is doing is communicating that into, in the example of Ethereum, Solidity or something like that. Is my understanding correct there?
Well, we create the ties to have that Solidity token attached to our platform. So there's always that tie of the metadata, right? So we provide like kind of a container for you as the developer to write in whatever code you want, write in whatever language you want. And then we use that to attach it to the blockchain token. And so those hooks into the different blockchains and the integrations we do into the different blockchains are going to be very different in that attachment layer. They're going to be very different depending on which blockchain it is. But for you as the end user, as the developer, you don't need to learn Solidity or whatever language the other blockchains are encoded in, because we have the hooks. We ensure that that token is spun up, and then that the code that you've written on our platform is attached to that token.
And I imagine that just makes it a lot easier, because part of the onboarding issue is teaching people a new programming interface. So if it has those hooks built in, I can imagine that just makes it a lot easier for a developer environment.
Absolutely. The whole goal is to make it self-service where anyone can publish a VATM. You can take a couple pictures. You can use these templates. So think about, WordPress or these different website template sites where you just spin up a template, you go to the template store, you customize it, and then you publish it. It's the same thing. We'll have a lot of templates for VATMs. If you want to create a little digital collectible, you upload an image and some rules and its characteristics, and boom, you've got a VATM. And then you tick a box. Do you want an Ethereum, EOS, Bitcoin, or do you want it to run on our platform? Because we believe 90% of the use cases, especially in the beginning, will be off-chain. They'll run on the side chain, and only if the value exceeds a certain level, or if there's a very specific reason that it needs to be on a blockchain, will it be written to the blockchain. We also believe that soon, when blockchain 3.0 comes along, such as the EOSs of the world, that their promise is instant and free transactions, then maybe everything will be written to the blockchain, because we've overcome that massive hurdle of the expense and the time it takes for blockchain transactions. But ultimately, we'll provide the developer the ability to have these tokens that can transact instantly and free on our side chain until and if it needs to be written to a blockchain.
So what code bases are currently accessible with this? You mentioned that it was open to a wide variety. Is there specific ones?
I don't know off the top of my head. The way it's structured is that these things can be coded in whatever language the developer wants to use. I'm sure it's limited to some of the.
Okay. So everything from like C++ to Java or Python. That's pretty incredible if it already is compatible in that sense. I would imagine that initially it might just be some specific ones. I was curious about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Because the way it works also is we'll be providing a bunch of tools, whether it's drag and drop and drop down boxes for people that just want to tinker, to the full SDKs and APIs that if you're a full-blown developer and you want to build your own stuff. So it's the whole gamut. And where we're at in our stage now, it's SDKs and APIs. What we're utilizing the funds from the from our crowd sale those funds are being utilized to put this polish on and to increase the sophistication, the level of the developer tools, because we had already built the platform and the ability for the platform to scale to billions of objects cost effectively. And now we're putting that final polish on it.
Yeah, I thought it made sense in the white paper how it described that API, particularly on a platform API, I guess, for the lack of a better word. So starting with that first and foremost. I see what you mean about getting those tools built out. One of the pieces that also really stuck out to me was, I believe it mentioned somewhere along the lines of no one's ever seen a Bitcoin. And I don't know if this is, an eventual direction you were thinking about going. Initially, I could see the parallels between more enterprise solutions, such as the Coca-Cola example. But I was wondering, what your thoughts on almost creating a visual sense of the Bitcoin. So not even just, not even just in the enterprise sense, but even just interacting with these currencies and just really focus on AR, VR more than anything. That was kind of an impression I got.
Absolutely. And yeah, I came up with that in a presentation a long time ago. It's like, has anyone ever seen a Bitcoin? And then I threw up, a whole chart of zeros and ones, because that's what a Bitcoin is. There's no experience to it, right? It's just this notion, this unit of value. Now, a Bitcoin is a unique digital object, right? And what we're doing is, and it's essentially this token. And what we're doing is taking that token, that unique digital object, and allowing you to program in it and add all of the experiential layer to it. And so, yes, very soon we're going to be creating these currencies that you can view and interact with on our phone, like our V token that comes alive. And what's the really interesting use case for that is, think about all the token holders out there that want to be active and participate in your community. You don't have a really good way to communicate to them unless it's through an email or through a Telegram group. But now imagine if the token holders actually had a token that was this live digital object that you could update, send messages to, send different atoms to. And so you actually have a one-to-one connection with your token holder through the token. That's a product that we're rolling out, and creating this whole token, token holder experience.